The S&P 500 and the Nasdaq 100. We look at the Nasdaq, and you had a pretty decent bounce here on the day. You get something like the 15-minute. You can see at open, you actually end up making a little bit of a lower low, but then bouncing shortly after 9:30, getting some love there, right? Not the greatest. I don't think you're out of this yet. You're still technically making also, too, just so you know, lower highs. That is not a good look there. The Nasdaq, not as good. ES futures, the S&P 500, much better. Kind of a double bottom, breaking back over 58.69, give or take, and then pushing up very strong back into 58.90. What you really looked for there. Now, I will say you need to get back above this 58.90 level to look good. You can see it's a little SR flip level there. So back above 58.92, 58.93, have you pushing back into 5,900. We go into the Dow, and you basically, end of the day, pushing back into all-time highs. Best obvious index here on the day, basically sat above 43K and then shot up to the upside. You had Morgan Stanley, some banks have earnings, and again, those did very well. XLF pushed all-time highs once again. So that's where the momentum really came in. Overall, on Nasdaq, you still saw semis look very weak here on the day. Not good. But what I will say, we saw that ASML, that was the number one, semi that got destroyed based on their earnings and guidance. And this, in my opinion, was a little bit of a overreaction. So you had that data coming in there, and then you had the U.S. talking about the exports and capping how much they can actually send to these other countries, right, for NVIDIA, AMD. And that was a lot of downside, right? But we talked about this too, is that this was most likely an overreaction. It's still a fantastic stock, if not the best stock in the market, in my opinion. Now, what happens to NVIDIA here on the day? Even with semiconductors, SMH holding down, NVIDIA rallies back from 131, where we talked about in yesterday's video, back into 136. Now, I'm not going to say that you're going to push highs tomorrow or go berserk and this is going to keep going, but this goes to show that this is a buy the dip type of opportunity, right? Something I posted on Twitter earlier today too was you had Druckenmiller, might be mispronouncing that, but his biggest mistake this year when it came to investing was selling NVIDIA early, okay? Again, NVIDIA, monster play, these dips, yeah, look how quickly they're getting bought back up as well. So still a monster play here, still looks really good. You get back and hold above 136, you're looking for 140. 0.8, the all-time high level up there as well. So still looks decent, still looks good. I will say, though, right now, Nasdaq is still a very big concern for me as I look at the hourly chart. The Nasdaq does not look that good. I mean, I'm going to tell you right now. You guys know I'm very bullish. I've been structurally very bullish for a while now. Nasdaq doesn't look awesome, okay? The big level you're watching is right here, 20,026. Again, this has been a major level. You're bouncing, finding a lot of buyers off that level. But what I'll say, though, is you're not breaking back up. You're not holding back up. Again, you look at ES here, and you can kind of see that action throughout the day. You see a little bit of a, lower highs you were making. Basic, kind of not as good as NASDAQ, but you're still kind of pushing down. And then you shoot back up and find buyers. You're not seeing that on NASDAQ, okay? That's the problem here, okay? Then you go look at something like XLK, the tech ETF. Better bounce here. This is better than SMH. SMH, as you can see, looks like treacherous, sitting at lows. But XLK, you came back into your key level, 227. You can see this little SR flipped here too on the higher time frames. Clear as day. You're holding that range. That's what you want to see. And if XLK can hold up like this, Apple and these other big names right there in tech, then you're going to see continued upside, and Nasdaq should continue to bounce. And it's what's helping ES as well. But again, you're finding buyers down there from 227.5. where you expected it, right? And so that's where we're at right now, trying to break back up. You could easily start pushing back into 231 tomorrow, but we'll have to wait and see what really happens there. Above 231, you're easily pushing back into 232.6. What I'd be watching there, okay? DXY, the dollar continues its rampage back to the upside near the 200 SMA. We go into yields as well. Again, rejecting off the 200, but again, the DXY continues up. Very big sign of concern for myself if yields, if the dollar continues on its upward path, okay? So things that we're looking at there, right? Dow, we know, very strong. Oil, been kind of rejecting back down, doesn't look that good. Bitcoin, again, you have a lot of metrics here that are pointing to a risk-on sentiment in the market. Bitcoin breaking back out. It's like, I will say right now, it's like the market's pricing in a Donald Trump victory here going into November. But again, Bitcoin really ripping out. IWM, the Russell, breaking out potentially, right? Big resistance was 224.5 to 225.5. You're pushing into those local highs, but the Russell looks very good. If you compare the Russell versus the SPY, good inversion chart to look at, you have IWM trying to get some pressure out of this, okay? Worth mentioning. This is what you want to see. IWM start to outperform some of these other indexes, and what's happening there, you can actually see versus QQQ as well. It looks a little bit better, trying to get some love there. But you want to see IWM as a whole start to move by itself, and at least move while you want to see money transfer whenever it's not getting the Nasdaq the upside. You want to see IWM getting some of that love like you've been seeing with the Dow. So IWM moving like this, very, very strong. You like what you're seeing here. That is for sure. That's why you're seeing some of these mid caps get a lot of love, you know, in the middle of the week and some of that volatility kick in. The VIX still sitting at around $20 to 200 weekly SMA. We're just kind of sitting up here. You're still elevated, still volatility expected, nothing in a clear direction. You know, basically on the past year and a half, 2 years, we've trended for the most time when we're in the, you know, massive upside, clear continuation down below $15 on VIX. Right now we're at 19. So it's definitely elevated compared to what it's usually at. So again, a little bit of a warning sign, area of caution when we look at that area of the market. Okay. Now, stocks as a whole. Tomorrow, you do have earnings. You need to understand this. Tomorrow, you have Netflix earnings. That's going to be big. I am not trading Netflix earnings. Please understand that. We've traded this last week. I'm not trading it this week. You're at all-time highs. Don't care. Not touching it. If it goes bad, this could easily drop down to the 200 SMA. I'm not touching it. You also have TSM, which I think is the more important earnings coming in here. I think this plays probably the biggest factor. I'm going to tell you that right now. Based on what happened with ASML, if TSM reports bad, we could see some dramatic selling on semiconductors. They have been doing pretty good over the last few earnings, so I would be watching them pretty close. But again, potential double top if, you know, this earnings does not go well. We could see some significant selling back to the downside, back below 185, you know, 175, 176 happens very quick. So again, what I'm looking at there, I'm not anticipating bad earnings. I'm just preparing because again, we saw what ASML did. TSM can have a very large impact as well. So make sure you're paying attention to that. Going into tomorrow with ES, what am I looking at here? I can even use SPY as a better example for you. Again, I'm watching this little pivot point right here around 583 or 582.3. Holding above that, you look pretty good to get the push back into 584. You were looking at that little pivot point here, the little swing low you had right there, 581.3. You got above that, you push right into your next level. But overall, you're moving good. Hold above 580, you look phenomenal. I posted this on Twitter as well. So make sure you're following on Twitter so you get all the updates, the charts, everything like that. I try to keep you guys posted all day long. So again, so you're never missing anything. So again, it's free, 100% there as well. Also too, guys, if you are interested in our indicators and what we look at here, again, I don't use them on all my videos because it just clutters the chart. But again, you get your buy sell volume, which makes it very simple to understand buyers versus sellers. You get your premium discount zones as well. If you struggle to understand where, you know, supply and demand may be on the chart, this does allocate to whatever time frame you're on as well. You can go in there and add fair value gaps, everything like that as well. So make sure you take advantage of that. The link is down below. Code OD40 for 40% off. And we're probably gonna have some spots available for Discord pretty soon as well. I've been trading kind of slow, so I just don't like opening up spots whenever trading slow. Again, I just like, you know, if I do well, I like you guys to do well. So again, that's what I'm looking at right now. Again, the market looks good still, good reaction, good amount of buyers, but we need to see more continuation, okay? Nasdaq needs to make a higher high, get out of this. You need to start breaking out of this to get back into 20,505. You break out of this downtrend, you make a higher high here. I think we push into 20,500 with ease very quickly. But until then, keep your head on a swivel. You don't want to get overly aggressive or anything along those lines. Money is rotating into Dow, into IWM. That is a good sign, but you need semiconductors to start bouncing. And I think tomorrow plays a large part into if semiconductors can continue to bounce. Good one, traders. Follow for more content. See you tomorrow.